Let's discuss what happened today then with the farmer protest. A really important protest. But first of all, a little bit of background. So it turns out that the government didn't actually do an impact assessment of the implications of the tax. And the government admitted the inheritance tax increase would actually hit UK farmers more than they're letting on. A Freedom of Information request submitted by the Conservative Rural Forum revealed that DEFRA couldn't estimate how much farms would be affected or how much they'd have to pay, as that information is not held, ploughing more pressure on the government to U-turn. It's no wonder Starmer parroted BBC Verify's estimate that only 500 estates a year would be affected. And that's a claim, by the way, that BBC Verify, the arbiters of truth, according to our BBC betters, have deleted. They've deleted that claim. And he didn't even have his own numbers on this. They've just done it on ideology, like the private school tax. This isn't about raising money for public services like they say it is. This is a nakedly partisan ideological assault on our farms and then on our schools. And small farms face selling off their land to pay this death tax. And foreign farmers are being handed 536 million quid in foreign aid, 5 times the revenue the tax is hoped to generate for the Treasury. And one farmer put it to Guido on Tuesday, it's a tax without any thought put into it, by a chancellor who makes up our own bloody CV, and by a prime minister who doesn't have the facts at his fingertips because he doesn't care about the facts, he just cares about the consequences. So it's a complete... I'm with the farmers like you wouldn't believe. I'm with them all the way. And these are the sights that we saw in London today. Got the beautiful flag flying above the Palace of Westminster. But as the camera zooms in to come around Whitehall with number 10 Downing Street on the left up there, you can see, with Portcullis House on the right there is just reams, row after row of tractor. And good for them, taking a day out of their work to actually do this. After getting up at 3, 4 a.m. to finish their jobs, to make sure we've got food on our tables. Row after row.
Yeah, that was
tractor.
one thing I was saying about this is, these guys, they work 7 days a week, all day, every day. They don't have a day off to really to go to a protest. It's probably been really hard for them to organise. They probably have to make sure that they've got people covering their work at the farm that day. Clearly. And that everything is in order. And a lot of them have travelled a really long way on a tractor, which is probably pretty slow on the motorway, I expect. So I think what they're doing is really impressive. It would be interesting to see what happens after this. Because I saw a clip from ITV talking to the farmers today, and a lot of them are saying, we're trying to be peaceful now, but we will strike and we will do more if we have to. It'll be interesting to see what happens, because some farmers might not really be able to afford to go on strike and to not hand their food over to their supermarkets and get paid. So I don't know whether it's feasible and whether it will happen, but I really hope that they get their way on this.
Alex, before you speak, I just want to play this clip from the National Farming Union's chief, Tom Bradshaw, who gave an emotional testimony in front of the DEFRA committee. And he says that this is a life or death moment for British farming. And he broke into tears. His heart broke in front of that committee, speaking about the impact that it's having and making a really quite chilling prediction that people will kill themselves in order for the tax not to come into force and see their family not inherit their farm for the next generation.
The examples that I'm being sent through are often from what I would say middle-aged farmers concerned about their parents or parent. That doesn't believe they have 7 years able to plan, and the awful, unacceptable position that those individuals have been put in. Because somebody said earlier on they haven't taken advice. That's completely wrong. A lot of these people have spent the very best money on tax planning advice, and until the Chancellor sat down, the correct advice was to keep the farm until death. Now they don't have any way to plan through that, and yet they've given everything to producing the food for this country in that period post Second World War. They really deserve a lot more respect than they have been given by the changes that are proposed. And I am going to talk about the most severe human impacts, which we believe could end up being triggered by this, which is that those people who genuinely are either in ill health or don't believe that they are going to be able to live for 7 years may well decide that they shouldn't be here on April 26th. Now, no policy should ever be published that has that unintended side effect. Now, what I'm being told by some people is, well, money doesn't trigger this. And I may agree with them that money doesn't trigger it, but it's not money. This is a lifetime of work. It's the heritage. And the custodianship of that farm.
I mean, you notice there at the end that the Labour MP there just can't even look at him, right? She looks away, she looks down. It's absolutely sickening and terrible what they're doing. I mean, people committing suicide over it. The idea that this tax doesn't have wider implications and that the government haven't even planned for it. Let's be honest, Alex, this is an ideological assault.
Yeah, it's so much more than that as well, Darren. It's not just ideological, it's hatred. This is as so many of the far left have shown online, this is revenge for them. This is revenge for what happened under Thatcher. They're taking their anger out. It's revenge for Brexit. It's like a political sledgehammer, but it's not just destroying the farmers' lives for the sake of ideology. It's going to raise barely any money. It's 500 million. It's not even going to touch the sides from the 5.8 billion we spent on asylum seekers and refugees over the course of 1 year, let alone what it is now. I'm sure it's probably more like 7 or 8 billion. It's not even going to touch the sides. It's going to punish a long-standing element of British culture. We are, going back for thousands of years, a farmland. We're a country of farmers. This is an attack on British identity, and it is so difficult when you hear and see the stories of the people that are going to be impacted by this. It's the same as the winter fuel allowance. It's the same ideological austerity being used to attack people that they don't politically agree with. Pensioners and farmers are going to get it the worst, and they are getting it the worst. And I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely disgusted with this government. It is the most... I thought Rishi Sunak's Tory government was pretty horrendous. But this one takes it to a whole new level. If the public could vote today, they'd be out on their backsides.
That's true. That's very true. And Younes Brumpelgrim on YouTube says, that was a hard one to read out, says, Starmer lied to the Farmers Union before the election. He stood up to the Farmers Union, Younes, and he said, we're on the side of the farmers. And and they backed him, by the way, they endorsed him. And when he gets into government, well, he does exactly what... the story you always reference, Younes, is the Iranians got into bed with the Ayatollah got into bed with the Marxists and then killed the Marxists when they got into power. Well, that's exactly what this Marxist has done with the farmers.
Yeah, I mean, he lied about everything. He said he's not going to raise taxes. He did. He said he's not going to raise national insurance. He did. And I just don't understand. I think we've got the most stupid chancellor ever because these taxes are not actually helping the economy. As Alex said, we're spending 5.8 billion on the migrant crisis. There are so many other ways to raise capital. There's so many other ways to raise money, such as drilling for oil. But then again, we have this stupid net zero policy of wind farms. And what's happening is that the middle class and the working class are shrinking. I just truly believe that Keir Starmer is a globalist puppet and he is being given his orders by Davos, and all he's doing is to try to get us back into European Union or this some sort of a global order in which people don't own anything anymore. And that's the whole inheritance tax. The reason why they do inheritance tax is because they don't want your children to inherit your property. So in the near future, when companies such as BlackRock buy all the properties, they want an economy where everyone is renting, nobody owns anything. So when you don't own anything, then you do not have your own personal autonomy and you're not a free person.
Power.
And that's what they're aiming. They want total control. They want total control over your finances. They want total control even over your mind and what you think and what you say. And that's why they hate people like Elon Musk, because they try to control freedom of speech and the flow of information as well.
I don't know if you saw, but during Storm Dara at the weekend, a multi-million pound, what would have been about 10 or 20 million quid, something in that region, of a massive wind farm in Wales that was installed 2 years ago has fallen down in the wind. I thought that's what they were there to do. Fallen down in the wind. Smashed to bits. Solar farms,
and the wind
smashed to
turbines.
bits. Yeah, and that's what they want to do with our farms.
We're spending a load of money just to turn them off. I don't know if you guys saw the story. Having to
absolutely.
spend a load of money to switch them off. The one thing that really gets me is whenever they talk about clean energy, I want there to be clean energy, but I'm like, well, how are you going to do it if you're also not talking about expanding the capacity of the national grid? The national grid just cannot cope. The capacity is just appallingly low. They've got to sort that out before they do anything else and build all these wind farms. But anyway, that's another note.
Still watching? Well, I've got a quick ask for you. Recent UK, we're fighting the woke brigade and inspiring young Brits, but we need your help to go bigger. We're hosting a fundraiser and would love you to sign up and share the link on the big day. It's easy, it makes a massive impact, and there are prizes for top fundraisers. Click the Google form in the description to join us. Cheers very much. Let's keep going together.